Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're gonna go over the changes coming to Railjack, Corpus Proxima, and the update 29.2. There's also a bit of information about Call of the Tempestari or update 30. That said, I'm kinda gonna go skim through the important information, and I'm also gonna leave a link in the description down below to the whole shebang, and I'm gonna give you my 2 cents on this stuff. So what will happen on login, Rebecca?
Is that all things Railjack are just more accessible. Oh, well, that's not good. I might leave this in just because I
We failed password. Gotcha.
Anyway, so the first things first is that Railjack is simply more accessible. And that comes in one of two ways. The first way is that if you actually never built your Railjack, you may have been challenged by the amount of resources it took or the time it took to just wait between parts. Maybe you thought you didn't have
Definitely.
time. That's all been cut back. Resources have been reduced and time has been reduced, which simply means less grind and less waiting.
This is huge for me, because I like Railjack. I have everything built on Railjack, but when I ask my friends, hey, come play Railjack with me, usually the room kind of clears. And I'm pretty sure it's not my fault, it's Railjack's fault. I hope.
We also have done
at
something
least.
that is a little bit of a paradox that we didn't have this in the first place in our free-to-play game, and that's we added it to the market to buy for platinum. So whether or not you
Awesome!
have
Just don't
bought
make
your
it like
platinum or traded
5,000
for it,
plat.
You will be able to simply purchase a Railjack from the market. This is something that you can just...
Ooh! 400! 400! That's it? To skip the whole thing? Man, I would have paid 400 to skip the whole thing. But of course, they're cutting back resources now, so it's not gonna be as difficult as it was
Hop in and
before.
grab it if you don't want to do the quest or any...
Oh,
or
that's
even,
amazing.
a
You
few
can
times
skip
but
that
whatever you
whole
choose,
thing.
Up to you. You just have more options.
400 plat, come on, it's not
The
that much.
second major change to cover when it comes to logging in is the complete shuffle of avionics to mods. So avionics are gone and they've been converted to mods. And
Oh,
the way you
yeah.
mod your Railjack has actually changed a little bit. So all your avionics have turned into mods. But now the question is, where do you put your mods? We've changed the concept of modding Railjack by introducing something called the Plexus. So the Plexus is an item unique to you that no matter whose Railjack you go on, whether yours or someone else's, it brings your loadout with you.
Oh,
So
that's
you're no
awesome.
longer sort of held hostage by what battle mods or battle avionics your host's Railjack has, because you can bring your own. So for example, on login, players will have a way to configure their Plexus right at the front and center of their orbiter. So if I go into my orbiter's Plexus mod now, I can see the following. First, I can...
Oh, this is so much better. This is like a million times better. I love this. You know how you wanted to play... Well, you probably don't, because most players don't play Railjack. But anyway, when you wanted to play Railjack with others, you had, do you have avionics this? Do you have this? Do you have that? Can you do this? Can you do that? Now, if I can bring my own, it doesn't matter what the host is Railjack has anymore, right? I can just like set up shop and have no problem whatsoever. That is cool. Look at that. They got
see
integrated
that the
battle
Plexus
and
has an aura
tactical.
slot. That means I can bring all of these attributes to whatever Railjack I go on, whether it's mine or someone else's. So in your squad of 4, you all get an aura slot. So one of you could bring a defensive one, some of you could bring an offensive one.
Oh,
It's up to
so
you.
just
And it
like
goes towards the
normal
Railjack's.
Warframe. You got it, right? Everybody has an aura and they all count. That's amazing. So you can like do this defensive matrix things times 4, which is really
Cool.
cool.
Nature.
They should stack,
Then
right?
there's the 8 integrated slots that simply are the avionics you may have been familiar with. So whether you want your turret damage to be better, you can simply slot these in and they'll work for you regardless of whose Railjack you're on. Then
That's awesome.
there's the battle avionics. So these are the powers. But now it's different. You can, by default, bring your powers with you. So a Railjack host no longer determines what you can cast when you're using
Awesome.
the side guns or the pilot seat. You bring your own avionics. So I can use Void Hole, Particle Ram, and Munitions Vortex simply because I have it on my Plexus. And then there's the tactical avionics.
So essentially, if you need a special ability and only one of you has it, hey guys, let me get on that gun and I'll use my whatever, and then you go back and so on and so forth. It's awesome. That's really awesome. But it's gonna call for a little bit of coordination.
These are the ones that when you pull up your tactical menu, you can cast. And again, now you bring your own. So all of this has been moved to the player level so that you can have more choice on what you bring to a Railjack mission.
That's
Another
awesome.
little bonus is now you have configs so that you can actually have a more diverse loadout depending on, say, what type of content you're playing. So that's all there as well for you to explore. So this is the switch from avionics to mods, and this is the introduction of the Plexus. So when you log in, you're going to want to make sure that you check out your Plexus and get modding. Otherwise, you're going to be going in empty-handed.
This solves a big issue, to be honest, with Railjack, because you were so dependent on the host before. If the host had a properly upgraded or properly modded, right, Railjack, you could do really well in missions. You could be fast, you could farm correctly and all whatnot. But if they didn't have the right powers, if they didn't have the right setup, then you would basically left hanging. And a lot of players thought that Railjack sucks because of that. This is a huge change. I absolutely love it.
Now
man.
let's talk about Dirac to Endo. Dirac was the resource you used found only in Railjack to rank up your avionics. Since avionics are gone, Dirac is also gone. And in its place is Endo, the currency we
wow.
know and
They're
love to rank up our
streamlining
mods.
everything.
That
It's
means that
awesome.
when you log in, all of your Dirac will turn into Endo. It's going to be just swapped, and any Dirac you invested in your grid will be reimbursed. So if, like me, you maxed your avionics grid, you will get back 39,000 Endo, not Dirac. So this will be something that on login you'll notice, and you'll want to make sure you go in and rank up your Railjack mods using Endo, not Dirac, because it's gone.
That's awesome. That is awesome from multiple points of view. Simply because a lot of players couldn't be ours to farm the Dirac, right? Not even I had everything maxed out because Dirac wasn't like the most easiest thing you could have gotten. But now if you can use Endo, you know, all that stockpile of a NASA you got or whatever else, tons of mods that you can dissolve into Endo, you can just max out your Railjack, boom, like that, just using Endo, what we normally use. And if you've been playing Warframe for a while, you're gonna have a ton of that. Not only that, but even if you're newer to Warframe, there's a lot more ways to get Endo consistently than Dirac. So this is a huge change. It makes it a whole lot more accessible to newer players from my point of view, and it makes it a lot easier to actually get into a good Railjack.
Now let's talk Intrinsics 2.0. We've made a lot of changes to the intrinsic system. You still earn your intrinsics simply by playing Railjack, but once you log in, you must respect them. So if you had fully maxed out all your intrinsics, you're going to need to go back to your intrinsics management, and you'll be starting from 0 across the board. Let's take a look at how far I've gone since the respec. I still have lots of intrinsics points to spend, and I've only done about half of them because I wanted to take this opportunity to show you what's changed. This isn't going to be the full list in the video. The dev workshop will have that, but this will at least explain to you some of the broader changes that come and why. Firstly, we wanted to connect more to all.
For those of you that never played Railjack before, these intrinsics are kind of like your abilities, and the more you play, the more intrinsics you gotten, the more you could unlock. Of course, there's a finite number, and essentially you wanted to unlock everything, but actually unlocking everything takes a really long time and a huge grind in Railjack, even after the changes.
All the main components of Warframe. As you know, necromechs exist, and they are old war technology. Railjack is old war technology. So we've started to provide some connective tissue insofar as some of the more underwhelming intrinsics from before have turned into things like deploy mechs in all missions. So yes, that means what you think it means. If you progress through your tactical intrinsics ranks, you'll be able to deploy your mech wherever you want, whenever you want. And
Railjack missions only.
Make your mech stronger. So for example, the engineers will be able to have a buffed mech, as you can see here, and so on. We've also removed some of the less popular intrinsics and tried to replace them with something a little more fun. So rank 10 piloting used to be pretty underwhelming, and now it's hopefully something that's a bit more skill-based and a great...
Double tap, boost to boost. A blink Railjack would emit a radial slow. That sounds kind of cool.
Railjack blink, so you can teleport your Railjack. And of course, some very big news on this screen that people have been waiting a long time for, which is the debut of the command intrinsic. Now, I've already ranked mine up to...
This is all well and good, but the problem, from my point of view, the whole intrinsic system was not necessarily the abilities you got in them. It's nice to see that they scrubbed some of the old unexciting parts and introduced something cool like, I don't know, deploy your mech, for example. But then again, they come with the engineer and showcase the fact that you get health 25 and shields 25. Don't get me wrong, that's all well and good, but it's not particularly exciting now, is it? I wished I would have heard something like, it's a lot easier to get intrinsics now. But it's not. But they did make, essentially what they're trying to do is make Railjack easier to get into, easier to play, more streamlined, so maybe you won't feel the intrinsics grind as bad as before.
To 2. So what that means is I've already unlocked the first slot, and now I can command my crew to do various tasks. So once you've unlocked your first crew member, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Ticker. So let's go visit Ticker.
Ooh, we get the has crew members!
Made it to Ticker on Fortuna, and hiring your crew is really as simple as talking to Ticker and clicking to hire Railjack crew members. Now, every day there will be new crew members available for hire, and who you hire can depend on what you're looking for in your crew, and their prices are determined by how much a certain syndicate likes you. So for example, Steel Meridian and I get along great, which means I actually get to hire Kudus at a discount. But when it comes to New Loka, Felinae and I, well, I can hire Felinae, but at double the price that someone loyal to New Loka would. Of course, let me know in the comments who your syndicate is.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I thought we were gonna use the Liches. Initially, I think that was the plan, using the Liches. I like this as well. It's super cool. So basically, you can get your own crew. That is huge. That is super cool. And of course, the members of the crews, they tied them into the syndicates that you already have, right? Normally, you can have 3, 4, I think there's a way to even have 5 syndicates maxed out at a time. So basically, if you want to hire somebody from another syndicate, all you gotta do is pay a little bit of extra, and it looks like it only costs credits, but keep in mind it says at the bottom of the screen in the fine print, subject to change. This is cool. I love this.
So that you can, battle it out with other Tenno on which syndicate is indeed the best. Spoiler. Well, I won't say who it is. But nevertheless, I can hop on in here, take a look at Kudus, and see that they actually have quite a high endurance stat, whereas
they have
a high gunnery stat. So what that means is the different competencies of different crew members will be something that you can upgrade to a degree. So over time, you'll be able to assign a certain amount of points to increase their skills and competencies. So for now, I'll hire this very apt gunner and take a look at managing them in my dry dock.
Awesome.
I've made it to my dry dock, and what you will find is dry docks have been added to certain relays. So if you never built a dry dock in your clan dojo,
I
no problem.
did,
You
though.
can go ahead and head to the second or third.
But
tier
it has
relay,
dry
commanding your
dock.
crew and all things Railjack.
Do you know how much time and resources did the bloody thing took to build?
So my crew are here. I have a handful of crew that I've already
Okay.
hired, but I'll go ahead and equip my recently hired Feline.
Oh, so you have a loadout of free crew members. You can have as many as you want. Like, she had like a collection of them, and she just equipped the gunner she bought. So this
And
one
I can
had
take
like a
and see
lot
that
of
I can, in
gunning, but
fact,
not a lot
train
of
them to
endurance.
have a bit more competencies. So we know they're a great gunner, but maybe I want their endurance to just be a tad higher.
Okay.
And I'll just go ahead and do that. Obviously, it's this placeholder because it is the dev build. But as you
Awesome.
can see, the points have been assigned, and Feline is feeling pretty good about their endurance and gunnery. You can also equip your crew with weapons that you just have in your arsenal. You can customize them.
Wow.
And much more.
Weapon builds just took out a whole new meaning if these guys can use them. What I missed, I'm gonna roll back that one. How exactly do I get more talent points? Oh, you get more by unlocking the tactical tree and the intrinsics. Gotcha. Awesome.
It's worth noting that the crew is designed for solo play, meaning that if you want to go with yourself and up to 3 crew members, you're free to do
No.
so. Once you start doing public matchmaking, however, public Tenno will take the slots of your crew.
No.
So if you want a full AI crew, go solo. Otherwise, as other Tenno join your squad, they'll be taking
No.
the place of the AI crew members.
Why? Damn, why would you do that? It would have been cool, like, if every 10 or you got a party of 4, right? And everybody brings 3 of these minions with them. Think about it. Railjack is huge, dude. Like, you would have everybody populated with these guys. I thought it would be cool, but apparently they're designed for solo play. But that's cool, right? This solves an issue for a lot of players that said, hey, listen, I want to play solo. There's a lot of solo players in Warframe, and I can't do that. That's where the cool Liches were supposed to come in. I think I like this system better, especially if I can give them weapons from my arsenal the way I build them. That's gonna be super cool.
The next part of our dev workshop is the inclusion of a new component for Railjacks. The hull materials will sort of be the new health and armor values for your Railjack. So while
Sigma hull
a player's
materials.
Plexus will have aura mods that
Placeholder.
speak to upgrading these stats, the Railjack itself will have this part built in, so it's not entirely riding the upgrade system of avionics or mods.
Oh, okay. So that means it will still depend a little bit on the host and what the host put on the jack rail. You get it? The armor, the shield, the engines, and I'm assuming the guns as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can be as strong as you can as a gunner because you're bringing your mods, your own intrinsics, right? But you're still gonna be using the gun that the host has, right? And the armor, apparently, and the shield and whatever else. So it's a bit of a give and take. Host will still matter, apparently. In case I misunderstood, please let me know in the comment section down below.
This is something you can look to earning or researching before you go out on your first mission.
Yay.
We're also
Already
making
did
improvements
that.
to matchmaking. Right now in Railjack, when you try and start a mission from certain parts of the star chart, you'll often be told to go to your dry dock.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
bit more
that
difficult
sucks.
to join a public squad or to start your own compared to core Warframe, so we're just making sure it obeys the type of logic that the base game has. When
So
you
I
wish
can
to start a
just click
mission.
and start
Meaning
like
that
it was
when you
supposed
go
to
and
be?
click a node, if you're on public and
Yeah.
there's no squad there, you'll simply start your own rather than having to go all the way
Yay.
out to a separate star chart. This is a huge streamlining effort to make
Yeah,
sure that more
huge.
people can connect or just access Railjack
It's
faster.
huge.
Now to talk early adopters. On login, you may be eligible for some rewards. If you're in a clan that's built a dry dock, on login, you will
I
get the
am.
exclusive commemorative Railjack statue.
No way! Big statue. Take a look at how big that is. That's what she said. Anyway, take a look at like the small Tenno. You see the small Tenno? This is the Tenno, right? I hope that's the Tenno. I hope that's a Warframe, not a Tenno. Looks like a Warframe. Dude, that is a huge statue. That's gonna look awesome in our dojo. We already built a dry dock. Oh, guys, guys, go build the dry dock so you can get the statue too before they launch the update. Go. It's a commemorative, don't you hear? Commemorative.
This statue is something that signifies that you were part of the original Railjack fleet, and you can put it anywhere you'd like in your dojo. As for individual rewards, there's 3 tiers, and it depends on how much wreckage you've actually made. The full table is available
How much wreck did you
in the
get?
dev workshop, but a summary is essentially Tier 1 gets a certain amount of mods and resources, Tier 2 gets everything Tier 1 gets, plus
Cool.
more Endo and a lot more resources,
Yay.
and Tier 3 gets
More
everything
Endo.
Tier 2 and
Oh, legendary core! Legendary core, Umbral Forma, and more. And I got a lot of wreckage, boys, so I must have gotten this. Go make wreckage. Go make wreckage so you can get yourself whatever tier 1 and 2 gives you. But legendary core, Umbra Forma. There you go. That's the headline right there. Go make wreckage. Go.
Tier 1 gets, and a legendary core, Umbra Forma, and much, much more to help
Nice.
you on your Warframe journey. The last thing to talk about is armaments. One change we've made to armaments is the actual resource costs associated with researching and finishing your wreckage. So the simple goal here is less grind, and what that means is resource costs to build the wreckage you find is much cheaper. So
Oh,
this
that's
is just a minor
awesome.
change, but it's one that will let you build, experiment, and validate.
It took a really long, bloody time, like anything Railjack, right? To actually build the stupid guns. You know, I found the guns, I had to build them. You could buy this little drone that would rush it. I still think I have a couple of drones. You know, it really took forever, and it required a a lot of goddamn materials. Then you have to grind it, then you have to come back, and then by the end of it, my friends would be like, hey, Laser, let's play something else.
Transfer weapons much easier without so much of a resource cost. Now we are on to part 2, what's changing in missions. First, we'll board our Railjack to take a look at the reconstructed interior. Certainly the first thing you're going to notice when you're playing Railjack after this update is that the inside is smaller. So what that means is we've taken what we felt to be too big a space that was a little too
wasn't big enough,
and made it smaller. This is pretty obvious if you're familiar with your Railjack, but if not, I'll explain a little bit about what's changed. First, there used to be an additional room here before you could get to your cargo bay. The cargo bay down here is now
that's straight to the cargo bay drop.
The Arcwing slingshot is still at the top of your ramp here, and you can still access it the same way you
used
used
to.
Why'd you do that? But now, you can immediately drop down to the cargo bay.
I like
That's one of the more dramatic changes on the back end of the ship. But at the midpoint of your ship, you'll notice the turrets have moved. No longer are the turrets flanks to the ship. They're actually now in line with the pilot's flight. So before, you used to be perpendicular, and now
But that was so cool!
Now that we find ourselves in a mission, we should take a look at what's changed.
Hold on, why did they do that? You know, one of the things that I loved about Railjack is that when you climbed into your Railjack, it felt like a legit big spaceship. It had one problem. It was bloody empty. It didn't have a crew to man it, as you know, a ship of that size would be logical to have. But it was cool that it was huge. And you had the cool guns to the side. You had the animation. That was cool. Why'd you take that out? And they took out a whole bloody room in the middle. I mean, that room didn't really serve much of a purpose, but it was cool. Still, the gun things. Why did you do the gun things? That was so cool on the side. But anyway, especially now, if you get to bring a crew, if you could bring a crew, like I said, like 3 each, and it would be like filled to the brim with... I think that would be cool. But anyway, they are simplifying this. It's going to be a lot smaller, so it's going to be a lot easier to traverse and get to interest points on the Railjack. But you had the teleport system. You could bring up the tactical view and just teleport to a point, you know? If you had spec'd that into Intrinsics, if I remember right. I am not a fan of this change. I prefer that big, especially now with crewmates. If we could have crewmates and... you know, keep it big. I find that would further reinforce the whole spaceship battle thing.
Beyond just the layout of
big
the
spaceship battle.
The first change is something pilots have been requesting, and that's the removal of the stamina bar.
Yes!
That means you can go and sustain your sprint speed for as long as you want. Skilled pilots will be able to not only go fast
sprint
and
forever
but
with
also make the most of their drift.
No penalty.
They'll be able to navigate obstacles at high speeds while
That's
making sure
awesome.
they can get from point A to B.
You can drift like a professional.
An important note about this, though, is pilots kind of have it all. They can shoot, they can cast powers.
Which is why I'm a pilot. Well,
and
actually, they made
charge
solar
of where your
pilot.
Railjack's going.
Awesome.
For this reason, we made one minor change, which is that pilots cannot shoot and sprint at the same time.
Oh, come on! Why?
But generally speaking, we wanted to make sure that gunners had a really good role while the pilot was out there.
Oh, so the gunners are not pointless? But
So
more guns are better, Rebecca. You forgot. More guns are better. Like, 6 guns are better than 2. Trust me. Okay?
Pilots, you're pretty good at driving around your Railjack. You're great at casting powers. But the one change is that you just can't shoot while you're sprinting.
Well, at least we can still shoot while we're just flying. You know, we can't sprint and shoot, but you can, like, fly and shoot, right?
Another thing that's changed is the change from group resource pools to individual. We've taken the onus off the squad as a whole to manage resources for everyone.
Oh, the onus is the tool with the fixing and the...
So that means things like Revelite are now managed by each individual player aboard the Railjack. So your ammo pool belongs to just you. So it's...
Wait, I forgot what was the tool called. You gotta pull out the tool and like fix the cracks in the holes and everything. And there's no more Revelite. Yell at the engineer. I liked yelling at the engineer. It was considered sport on my streams.
Not just Revelite that's changed, it's also energy. Flex energy, which is what you built to cast your battle avionics, is gone. It's removed from the game. What's replacing it to cast your battle mods is your existing Warframe loadouts. So that means Warframes with flow or prime flow, your energy pool will now determine what you can cast when you're piloting or side gunning on your Railjack. So things like Xenuric's energy regeneration, energy restores.
I can just drop a pad and chill out.
As you are now just
spam.
To sustain
drop 6 pads and spam like a maniac.
For example, if I wanted to drop an energy restore here, take my Excalibur Umbra,
easy mode gameplay.
hop on the pilot seat,
and then just spam powers. That's not abusable at all.
So every ability I cast comes straight from my Warframe's energy pool.
Yes,
We've also changed what malfunctions and hazards do to your Railjack. Before, things like fire damage would deal damage to the ship over time. And now we've changed it so that they have different gameplay effects. So while there will still be hazards that you will want to take care of, they have a bit more of a different role in what happens to you and your Railjack if you leave them there over time.
Hey, you didn't say what are the effects.
Missions is the unification of damage types.
Usually when they have bad news to offer, they don't offer them in these updates, so I'm worried about that one. They're sly like that.
So when we launched Railjack, what we did was we made Railjack versions of damage types, things like Ionic and Plasma. What these were
Pointless,
just Railjack
'cause they were
versions
essentially
of the damage types
reskinned
you had actually
IPS.
already spent time learning. Impact, Puncture, Slash, these are all coming to Railjack. What that means is everything you've learned from your base elements to your physical types will be making an appearance on all
Should have
weaponry in
done
Railjack
that from the
combat.
get-go.
So the
It
Railjack
makes
types are
things
gone,
simpler.
and the unified existing core Warframe
Although
damage types are
Plasma
here.
sounded
The
cool.
last section of part 2 is talking about node changes. So when we say node changes, what we mean is node changes to what you know to be Earth, Saturn, and Veil Proxima. There's some choice there for nodes, but there's not really a lot of meaningful choice, with the only option being skirmish, or at least it seems that way until you memorize what points of interest live on
Yeah,
what
basically
nodes,
you
and
just
then
played
what.
a couple of
It
missions
comes down
and
for
that's
us
it.
to too much repetition of a very small set of nodes, and a lot of Railjack just being flat out ignored.
No
For what we
way.
believe to be the healthier new direction for Railjack, we are making some changes by removing some of the existing Grineer nodes. The addition of the Corpus Proxima regions will introduce many new types of missions to play, and they'll say more than skirmish. We'll also be adding some Corpus regions to the Veil Proxima, meaning that there will be higher level content of both factions in the furthest reaches of space. And generally speaking, this does mean that the Gian Point node is going away. And we won't make that decision lightly, and we hope that there is an understanding of why that particular node, among others, have been removed for Railjack's health. The reasons
my
really do come
God.
down to taking what was good about Gian Point, which was a quick turnaround and a high affinity reward, and trying to put it into
Now
the
we can't
objectives
farm
within
there
Railjack itself,
anymore.
so that the diversity of content gets played more than just one node over
So
and over again.
forcing
Now part 3,
us
what
to
will
play
keep you
other
playing
stuff.
with this update. There's a lot to it because Corpus Railjack has come. Corpus Railjack not only brings new Proxima regions with varying difficulty, it also brings the strongest integration yet of core Warframe to Railjack content.
I wouldn't worry about it, guys. We'll find another one. It's fine. Eventually.
So what that means is you'll be playing a Warframe defense mission, but you'll have all of Railjack around it to get you more affinity and more rewards and just a different experience. We'll also have tried and true like Exterminate. So this is another one of the first Warframe mission modes I think we ever released has now arrived to Railjack with all of the Railjack wrapping to it.
Yay.
And then there's 2 other things that are new to the Corpus Railjack regions. The first is Orphix is back. So this means that the Orphix Venom event, which had your mechs and your Warframes and your operators playing with the operation on the build, is now here permanently in Railjack. What that means is you can go through varying difficulties if you start in Venus or want to go all the way out to the Veil, so that you can earn arcanes within the missions. So this is an alternate path to earning arcanes if you don't want to do Eidolons, or perhaps while it's day during the Plains of Eidolon.
Okay. Rest in peace and pepperoni, Eidolon hunting. If Orphix is gonna become present all the time, and it's not an event anymore, it's an activity in Warframe, permanent activity that is, then Orphix was a lot, and I mean a lot more efficient than Eidolon hunting. Because on Eidolon hunting, you really had to rely on RNGs, you know? And that's something that players don't enjoy doing for obvious reasons. Well, rest in peace and pepperono.
What this also means is that in one mission, you're using your Railjack, your Warframe, your Operator, and your mech. So it's certainly the combination of all things Warframe.
And I
we
just
also have
wanted
a
to
brand new
shoot
mission
gun.
type. Volatile is a mission type that is pretty co-op intensive in that you have to be paying attention on how to blow up the reactor of a Corpus ship, and then of course end by perhaps taking down the ship itself. The last section of our workshop, what comes next?
Kinda
Well,
sketchy with the new missions. They taking out farm nodes like that. I don't know what the community's reaction will be. But I'm all down for trying new stuff, you know? I mean, Railjack as it wasn't really played all that much, and it was stale as F, so there you go.
There's quite a few things. First, you may have noticed that we didn't mention Void Storms or Relics as new content in the new Railjack, and that's because we're actually moving it to update 30. There's just too much, frankly, as you can probably tell by the length of this video and pages, that including Void Storms and Relics would probably put some of the quality at risk, more so than all of these changes already have. So it's okay though. We think thematically, in fact we know thematically, that the Void Storms are going to be extremely related to Call of the Tempestari, which is the name of Update 30. Sevagoth and his quest are firmly placed in Void Storms, so it'll make sense to release it all at once. What you can expect with Void Storms is the ability to crack relics in Railjack. So the relic hunting and the relic cracking using Fisher missions will be possible in Railjack when Void Storms launch. So you'll be able to take to the skies instead of sticking to the main star chart, depending on what you want to do. Another thing, of course, to look forward to is Update 30 Call of the Tempest.
So we're not getting Sevagoth with this, okay? This is just gonna be the Railjack thing. Sevagoth is coming with Temporal Storms, whatever, and Call of the Tempestari, which is a little bit underwhelming. I was hoping they would come with this one because from what I understood, Call of the Tempestari is still a ways off.
Sorry. This update is a classic Warframe quest. It's going to take you to the far reaches of Void Storms and Railjack as a solo quest to learn about
Void
Sevagoth
Storms, yes.
and
Not Temporal
Tempestari
Storms.
and much,
Never
much
mind.
more. There may be a little hint of which is going to be more in the Update 30.5 realm
So still no
of
Corpus
content.
Liches.
So Update 30 will come. It will bring Sevagoth. It will bring a quest and a few more things. And then down the road, we will have Corpus Queenpins launching, which of course will bring a whole bunch of new characters and personalities.
Okay, so it goes Railjack rework, Call of the Tempestari with Temporal Storms and Sevagoth, and then Corpus Liches. Like, Jesus.
To fall in love with, as well as new weapons, new ephemeras, and new boss fights in the
Oh,
Railjack arenas.
they've been teasing that goddamn briefcase weapon for forever. All right, you're doing it again, Warframe. You're doing it
You
again.
can look forward to all of that and more beyond the update that we have for you in the next couple of weeks. We should mention that the PC player base is getting update 29.10 and that the console player base is getting update 30 and all of this at once. So the way it's going to split out is PC is going to be receiving update 29.10 first, then all platforms at the same time are going to get update 30. So Call of the Tempestari and the lore content within it will be celebrated as a community rather than staggered, but the console community will receive all of this and that lore content in one go. So
Alright, console, before you throw a fit, don't worry about it too much, okay? It's just the Railjack rework. We're getting it first, and so we're probably gonna beta it out. That's probably why they're doing it, I'm assuming, right? There's gonna be a whole lot of bugs, as, you know, it's Railjack. We're gonna test it for you, and you're gonna get the nice package with everything nice, done, and plumpy.
So it's gonna come in PC in the next 2 weeks. Hopefully you made it through this video. And
okay, it's March 8th. March 8th, 2 weeks, that's 14 days. Okay! That is not so bad. That is not so bad. By the 23rd, 24th of March, hopefully we're gonna get this.
hopefully you can read the dev workshop if you want more details on anything I talked about.
Again, link in the description down below, my friends, right? You got a link in the description down below to this video if you want to rewatch it again, right? See all the information. I'll also link the actual forum post that they made. Wow, a lot of fantastic changes coming to Railjack. There is also something to be said about the community not liking Railjack, and perhaps they should have backed off it. But these changes, man, I don't know. I think they will streamline everything. It's going to be easier to get into Railjack if you never got into it. It's going to be easier to kind of jump from normal mission to Railjack and back to normal mission. It might be what Warframe needed, hopefully. But in any case, I'm interested in knowing what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you excited about this, or you're just waiting for it to be done so you can get to Sevagoth and Call of the Tempestari with the Woo quest and all whatnot? As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And I'll catch you in the next one.